Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Feminine Leadership Activation Call. I'm Tanya Lynn, and I am excited to talk about our fire, our inner fire as feminine leaders. And so let's close our eyes to start, like we always do, and placing your hands on your belly. And let's breathe into your hands and smile as you start to feel the power within your belly, within your womb. And just imagine that this was a big fireball within your belly, and the heat that's starting to come up and out. It's electric. You are electric. You have this inner flame. Today we call upon the goddess Pele, who's a Hawaiian goddess of the volcano. She dances on the hot lava. She dances with the fire. Pele, help light, ignite our inner flame, our inner fire. Help us turn on, get turned on, turn on our passion for our work, our passion for life, our passion in the bedroom. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. So last time we talked about devotion and devotion to showing up, devotion to our spiritual path. And this word has been a word that's helped me be inside of my commitment, is like, what am I devoted to? And as feminine leaders, it's important that we show up, that presence. And we talked about presence in an earlier call, and you can find that recording at sistershipcircle.com/activation-calls. But that presence of people feeling your power. And sometimes we don't always show up, but there's something that's so potent when we actually do, how we light up the room. And our devotion to being our highest good, to being the goddess, the high priestess, the queen, devotion to ourselves, devotion to our spiritual path is what can be that driving force. And so I thought, well, what helps to create that devotion? And that to me is the fire that is within our belly, the Agni. That's the word in Sanskrit. And I just want to look up that word real quick. Because it's a really powerful word. Agni is one of the most important Vedic gods. He's the god of fire and the acceptor of sacrifices for onwards conveyance to other deities. So last night we had our Sistership Circle bonfire, and it was actually the first time that we did that. And I love playing with the elements. And how can we as feminine leaders use all of our elements? The element of fire, the element of water, the element of earth, the element of wood, the element of air and metal. How can we use those elements to bring forth our gifts and to find balance within? And next week, we're going to be talking about balance, because I think this is such an important conversation, and that for me, it's multi-layered when we talk about balance. But sometimes we're going to be way over in our fire, right? And then we're going to balance that out with water. Or we're going to use air to put more, to stoke the fire even more, or to use wood, right? To have that fire go even brighter, to light up the room. And last night at our Sistership Circle bonfire, using that element of fire was really, really potent and powerful. And we danced around the fire and we looked into the flames, and then we shared what we were igniting in our life. And so when we're igniting our passion, Pele on this card says, be honest with yourself. What's your heart's true desire? So it was interesting how a couple of women were like, yeah, let me be honest. Like, the thing that I really want to ignite, that thing that I really want to light up. And it's almost like, where are we lying to ourselves, right? So just how that was even expressed was, let me be honest about what I really want. And it was almost like this deep, dark secret that we didn't want to let out. So what's that all about? What is it about us not being able to fully express our desires? To not really be able to admit to that thing that we really want? And I remember how last year in Circle, I expressed one of those deep down desires, and that was to get pregnant, to have a baby. And it was something that I had buried and that I had hidden, and I wasn't even quite sure. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I want clarity. And I believe that we already truly have clarity. You already know what that desire is. And it might just be in the dark. It might just be covered up. You might have stuffed it down and put it away, and there's cobwebs on it. And so when we light up, then we can see it again. When we get in touch with our passions, we get connected with our desires. And so we've been taught that it's not okay to have desires. This is one thing actually that I've learned in Vipassana, is around these sensations that we have in our body, and that craving that we have for something, that longing is actually cause for our suffering. So it's kind of confusing of, are we allowed to have our desires? And then, the church makes sex wrong, and our culture makes sex taboo, and that has to do with desire. So when we're talking about passion, whether it's about passion in the bedroom and passion around being sexually fulfilled and having sexual desires, and having desires and passion for your work and your purpose in the world, there's some confusion and perhaps even some shame. And this, oh, I can't go there, I can't have that, like that's the source of my suffering. But what if we actually just change that around, if it's okay to have desires? And the question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to have it be stuffed down so that you're not fully embodying it? And then that's what actually is the source of your suffering, of this craving and this longing for something that you don't have? Or are you going to turn it into motivation and inspiration to go out there and be lit up and turned on by it, and be this powerful force in the world that then is a magnet of attraction, and things are coming towards you, and then you're taking the actions. It's actually fuel for the actions, and it's fuel for the devotion. What if our desires and our passions were the thing that had us be devoted to the path of truth, the path of feminine leadership, the path of being purposeful in the world? That turns me on. And I've always been someone who's been good at taking action. And that's because I'm constantly stoking my fire. I'm constantly lighting my inner flame and getting excited about what I'm up to. And I allow myself to feel that desire fully and to have that be inspiration and to literally have my whole inside just light up and the expansion of my chest and feel the tingling in my body and feel my power source. It's almost like I'm revving the engine and I'm turning it on. And then boom, I just use that as an energy source to take the action that I'm committed to taking. So it's like passion, igniting the fire, using that as motivation for devotion, and being committed. And when I'm in that fire, when I'm in my passion, I don't have the doubt. It overcomes the doubt. If anything, it consumes the doubt and gets rid of it, right? It just dissolves it. It burns it. It burns all of my self-doubt. And that's what we do with the fire, right? We sit around the fire and we throw these pieces of paper and intentions of what we want to release and let go of. What if using that symbolic fire, the bonfire, and then finding that fire within to really, truly burn away that doubt? Because it's not that you're not clear. It's just that you're doubting yourself. You're not having faith. You've lost that sight of devotion. And the devotion is what then continues to have that faith and the trust. Because you just keep going on the path. You stay committed to the path and you keep going and the mystery continues to unfold. That to me is what feminine leadership is all about. We have to trust. We have to have faith. We have to keep walking. And we have to find that inner flame that's then going to have us light up in the world. That's going to have us be that light that the moth comes to. And I just, it's like when I get in touch with that, I just get so inspired. Can you feel that? So passion, sexuality. Here's a really important piece for us to get. Is that our inner knowing, our fire, our creativity, our power as women is all in that area. It's all in the belly and the womb. It's in our lady parts. And so connecting with that, connecting with our desire, connecting with our yoni, all of this is related. So you can start to look at your life of your connection with orgasm, your connection with your pleasure, and pleasure not just being sexual pleasure, but sensation, sensual pleasure. And that comes from touch. That's all of your skin, not just the lady parts, right? And so we can actually move and start to stoke that fire by using sensuality, getting in touch with sensation, not just down there, but what else is sensual? A bath might be sensual. Massage might be sensual. Notice that this is all getting into the body, out of the head, right? That whole idea of like, oh, do I have clarity All the doubt that all lives in the head, we want to move down into the body. Embodiment, sensuality. That's what all of this means. It's having the embodied experience, feeling that fire within. But we have to get out of the head. The head, it's dark up there, right? Like this, I don't know, and I have doubts, and all that is in the dark. Moving down into the body, using movement, using massage, touching, feeling, allowing ourselves to feel, physically feel, then opens up the emotions. The emotional body is related to the physical body, right? Accessing the emotions. What am I feeling right now? What emotions am I experiencing? And that all starts to have you come alive. Your feelings are what make you a woman. We are very emotional creatures. It's a good thing. We've been taught, though, that it's bad, that it's too much, that it's overwhelming, that it's going to overwhelm ourselves and others. So you're crazy is one thing we've heard as women. What if you're not crazy? What if you're just being normal and you're just being alive and you're just being in your feelings, and that's what actually has you then access your power? It's all related. How many times have you had sex or you've had an orgasm and you cried? I have, first to admit. Why? Because I'm feeling so intensely, and the emotions are all connected to that. It's like a flood. Literally, you can have a flood, but also it's this flood of emotion, and we're breaking the ice and we're cracking ourselves open. And it's like that volcano that erupts. Pele, divine passion. And I love this card of her in devotion and her dancing around the volcano. Your devotion can be a dance. Divine passion. When I went to India and I went to the Kama Sutra, not Kama Sutra, the Khajuraho temples, and it's all these photos, these kind of, lewd sexual photos, or sculptures all around all these temples. And they were actually placed higher up above our head as like sexuality is actually our access to the spiritual. Sexuality is divine. Why? Because it opens us up. We open up to life force. Our Shakti is related to our yoni, that opening for us to be filled up. We're literally a vessel. Vessel for what? For divine light. And this is all related. If we think about light and we think about fire, we think about divine light, we think about the volcanic fire. It's all related. And that's what I want to continue to drive home here is Mother Earth, us as bodies, the embodiment, the feminine, feeling, sensuality, all of those pieces, that's all earth, right? But then what's the divine feminine is that Shakti life force, life, which is that energy, but it's also in the body. And so our bodies are our way of accessing our power as women. So take a moment to just close your eyes and tap into what is it that I truly desire? What is it that I want to give birth to? What is it that I want to create? We are such powerful creators as women. We inherently know how to give birth, to create life. When I think to that moment of conception, when I got pregnant, and how my body started to do this magical, miraculous change so that I could develop this little baby inside of me. Wow. So incredible. I have that power. And I have the power to then deliver, and my whole body knows what to do to bring that being into the world. And so I can also do that with anything else that I decide that I want to do, that I want to manifest. If I can create a baby, I can manifest anything. If my body can develop and hold that little being inside of me for 9 months, and then somehow push that, for me, 9-pound baby out of my vagina, and all the hormones that are working, the elixir, if I can do all that, I can do anything. You can do anything. We are destined for this, to give birth, to create life. What else do we want to create in the world? And so if we bring all of these elements together, our presence, our focused intention, our commitment, our devotion, our fire, all of these things that we've talked about on these activation calls, and we bring that all together, that is feminine leadership, and we can change the world. And actually, the world is already changing. The world is constantly changing. It's not actually that we need to change the world. We need to come into harmony with the earth. That's what, to me, changing the world is all about. Because the seasons are constantly changing, time is constantly changing, the river is never the same. Nature, by its nature, is impermanent. And it's constantly moving and changing. And so how do we sync up and be harmonious with the natural laws of the universe? And to get back in touch with nature so that we're working in harmony with the earth instead of destroying and depleting its resources. How do we come into that place? And so last night, as we were around the fire, I was about igniting and uniting. Ignite and unite. Us as feminine leaders, ignite our inner flame. Create from that place, and then it's about us coming together to unite. We are not separate. We are all connected. And we have to get that. Coming back to oneness. Coming back to oneness with each other and with the earth. That we are of the earth. We are these bodies. Well, we're in these bodies. I don't know if we are these bodies, but what if we embrace these bodies? That we are here of this earth. We are made of matter. We are connected to Mother Earth. And can we have devotion to her? Can we make the commitment to her? Which is really making that commitment to ourselves, to the truth. Harmony, balance. And that's where we're going to go next week. We're going to talk about balance. Because that's the number one thing that I'm hearing in all these mama groups is, how do I balance baby and business and relationship and my health and all these things? How do I create balance? And so one part of that is discernment. So we'll be talking about discernment. I did a post about this the other day. And expectations and presence. Comes back to presence every time. So join us for the next call. Again, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific. And you can find all of the recordings at sistershipcircle.com/activation-calls. Thank you. And continue to ask yourself, what is my heart's true desire? And have that be the inspiration for you today and the rest of your week. I look forward to seeing you next week.